There's a moment in every pilot's life that stands out. It's not their first flight, it's not their first landing, it's the first time they take to the sky, alone. The first solo flight is a rite of passage. It's a testament to skill, courage, and the trust between a student and their instructor. Today we're going to look at that flight from a different perspective, the instructors. We're going to see the blend of pride, anxiety, and responsibility that comes with sending a student out on their own. We're going to be right there in the control tower, listening in on the radio calls, watching every movement of the plane. This is more than just a training exercise, it's a transformation. It's about a student becoming a pilot, and it all starts with a single crucial decision. Is the student ready? My name is Rob Smith, and I've been training pilots for over 20 years. Every student is different, every flight is different, but the feeling when they solo for the first time, that never gets old. It's like watching your kid take their first steps, you know? All those hours of work, all the drills, all the preparation, it comes down to this. You want them to succeed, you need them to succeed, but more than anything, you need them to be safe. Today, John Adams takes that step. Today, John Adams flies. John's your typical student pilot, eager, a little nervous, maybe a touch overconfident after a few successful takeoffs and landings. He's put in the hours, studied the manuals, and aced his exams. But nothing can truly prepare you for the feeling of being alone in the cockpit, the weight of the plane resting on your shoulders, the knowledge that it's all on you. John's journey to this point has been filled with early mornings, late nights, and the constant drone of aviation theory. He's tasted the freedom of flight, the exhilaration of maneuvering a machine through the air. But he's also felt the frustration of mistakes, the sting of corrections, the constant pressure to improve. Today, all of that fades into the background. Today there's only the plane, the sky, and the quiet hum of the engine. Today John Adams flies alone. Every flight begins the same way, with a ritual. It's not about superstition, it's about discipline, it's about ingraining habits that keep pilots safe. And for an instructor, watching a student go through that ritual before a solo flight, well, that's something special. You see them checking the fuel, looking for any debris on the wings, their movements precise, almost reverent. They're not just going through the motions, they're taking ownership. They're becoming one with the machine, and you, the instructor, you stand back and watch. You offer guidance when needed, but mostly you observe. You look for that spark, that moment when the student becomes the pilot. Section 2. Checklists and second guesses. Airmanship, that's what we call it. It's more than just knowing how to fly a plane. It's about judgment, about decision-making. And it's during those pre-flight checks that you really see it develop. John's running through the checklist, his voice clear and confident. He knows this stuff backward and forwards, but you can still see that flicker of doubt in his eyes. That's natural. It's good. It means he understands the weight of what he's about to do. And you're right there with him, going through the checklist in your head, double-checking his work, even though you know he's got it. Because that's what instructors do. They worry, they second guess. It's the weight of responsibility. The pre-flight briefing, another ritual, another opportunity to make sure John's got everything he needs. The weather's perfect, clear skies, calm winds. The flight plan is simple, a few circuits around the pattern, takeoffs and landings. Nothing John hasn't done 100 times before, but the words, they feel different today. Heavier. Each syllable hangs in the air. You're not just explaining a maneuver, you're entrusting a life to the sky. Remember your training, John. Trust your instincts, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm right here if you need me. You watch as John climbs into the cockpit, his movements a little more deliberate now, a little more sure. He goes through his pre-flight checks again, his hands moving over the controls with a familiarity that wasn't there before. He's ready. He's more than ready. And as you stand there on the tarmac, the sun warm on your face, the smell of aviation fuel in the air, you can't help but feel a surge of pride. Not just for John, but for all the students you've sent out into the world, wings spread wide. It never gets old, this feeling. It's a privilege witnessing someone take their first solo flight. It's a reminder of why you do what you do. Section 5. The walk around. One last check. John's taxiing out to the runway, and you're walking around the plane, giving it a final once-over. It's a habit, a superstition maybe, but it makes you feel better. You run your hand along the fuselage, feeling for anything out of place. You check the tires, the lights, the control surfaces, everything's in order. You step back, give the plane a little pat, and watch as John lines up on the runway. This is it, the moment of truth, the moment you let go. Section 1. Engine start. The roar of the engine echoes across the tarmac. It's a familiar sound, comforting in its way. But today, it's different. Today, it's John's hand on the throttle, John's foot on the rudder pedal. You watch from the control tower, your heart pounding in your chest. You can't see his face, but you can picture it. The focus, the determination, maybe a hint of fear. It's all part of it. You raise your hand to your headset, your thumb hovering over the transmit button. You want to say something, offer words of encouragement, but you hold back. This is his moment. He's got this. Section 2. Holding your breath. The little Cessna starts to roll down the runway, picking up speed. It seems to take forever, this slow, agonizing crawl towards flight. You find yourself holding your breath, your knuckles white as you grip the railing in front of you. You've seen this 1,000 times before, you've done it yourself countless more. But watching your student go through it alone, it never gets any easier. It's like watching your own kid walk a tightrope. You know he can do it. He's got the skills, the training, but still that little voice in the back of your head whispers doubts. What if? Don't think like that. Have faith. Section 3. Wheels up. And then it happens. The nose of the plane lifts off the runway, the wheels a few feet off the ground. For a moment, it seems to hang there, suspended between earth and sky. And then, slowly, gracefully, it begins to climb. A wave of relief washes over you. You let out the breath you didn't realize you were holding. He's up, he's flying, he's doing it. You reach for your headset. Good job, John. Looking good up there, just like we practiced. Your voice is steady, calm, reassuring, but inside, you're doing a little victory dance. Section 4. The first turn. The plane banks to the left, beginning its first circuit around the pattern. It's a gentle turn, smooth and controlled. John's got a good feel for the aircraft, you can tell. You watch as he completes the turn, lining up for the downwind leg. He's doing everything right, maintaining altitude, airspeed, heading. He's a natural. Looking sharp, John, you say into the headset. Just remember your landmarks. Don't get fixated on the instruments. You know he's got this. But you'll be right here, watching every move, ready to offer guidance if he needs it. That's what instructors do. They guide, they support, they let go. Section 1. A different kind of silence. The control tower is a hive of activity. Radios crackle with instructions, pilots report their positions, the hum of machinery provides a constant background thrum. But for you right now, there's a different kind of silence, the silence of anticipation. John's voice, clear and confident just minutes ago, is gone, replaced by the static hiss of the headset, a constant reminder that he's up there, alone, making decisions that could mean the difference between a smooth flight and a bad day. You track his progress on the radar screen, a tiny blip against the grid lines, circling the airfield like a hawk riding thermals. Each turn, each adjustment of altitude, is a testament to his training, his growing skill, but you're not just watching for mistakes, you're listening for them, for the telltale hesitation in his voice, the slight waver in the engine's drone, any indication that things might not be as smooth as they seem. Cessna 152, this is Tower, how do you read? Your voice is calm, professional, the kind of voice that inspires confidence, even when your gut is churning with a potent mix of pride and worry.
Tower, this is 152, reading you loud and clear. Just completed my second circuit, everything's looking good up here.
John's voice is steady, a touch of exhilaration creeping in, the way it always does when you realize you're actually doing it. You're flying solo. Roger that, 152. Maintain your pattern, keep an eye on your airspeed, and remember to breathe. The last part is more for you than for him. The static hiss returns, but it's different now. It's not the silence of anticipation anymore. It's the sound of competence, of a student becoming a pilot, one radio call at a time. Your eyes scan the skies, searching for any sign of trouble. A sudden shift in the wind, a flock of birds taking flight, another plane straying too close to the pattern, anything that could test John's reactions, push him beyond his comfort zone. But the sky is clear, the air calm. It's almost too perfect, the kind of day that makes you look over your shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But you push those thoughts aside. Focus on what you can control. Focus on John. You watch his plane through the binoculars, the small Cessna looking like a toy against the backdrop of the endless blue. You can almost feel the rhythm of his movements, the smooth inputs on the controls, the way he anticipates the wind, the way he keeps the plane balanced, wings level. He's got this. You knew he did, but seeing it, witnessing it firsthand, it's a different kind of confirmation. It's the moment you realize that you've done your job, that you've prepared him for this, for the challenges, the triumphs, the sheer joy of flight. You glance at the radar screen again, checking his position, his altitude, his speed. Everything's within parameters. He's following the flight plan to the letter. Trust, but verify. That's the mantra of every good instructor. You listen to the radio chatter, other aircraft reporting their positions, requesting clearance to land, the constant ebb and flow of air traffic. But your focus never wavers from that single blip on the screen, that tiny dot that represents John's journey, his transformation. You're not just monitoring his flight, you're monitoring his growth. You're watching him become the pilot you knew he could be. The one who doesn't need you anymore. The one who can take to the skies and own them, who can dance with the wind and whisper secrets to the clouds. And in that realization there's a bittersweet pang of pride and loss, the pride of a teacher, the loss of a student. The control tower seems different now, quieter. The constant chatter of the radio fades into the background. All your senses are focused on that single blip on the radar screen, the one that represents John's plane as he makes his final approach. Each mile he covers is a victory, each passing minute a testament to his skill and composure. But you know, as all instructors do, that the landing is the real test. It's where the rubber meets the runway, where judgment trumps bravado. You stand there, watching, waiting, your hand hovering near the microphone, ready to offer guidance if needed. But mostly, you're just a spectator now, a silent observer to the culmination of months of hard work and dedication. The silence in the tower is broken only by the occasional crackle of static and the steady hum of the ventilation system. It's the silence of anticipation, of respect for the delicate dance between man and machine, between student and sky.
Cessna 152, you're clear to land. You watch as John's plane lines up with the runway, its wings rocking slightly in the afternoon breeze. He's high, a little fast, but nothing he can't handle. He's got this. He's been trained for this.
John acknowledges the clearance, his voice a bit tight but clear. The moment of truth is upon him. You find yourself holding your breath, your heart pounding in your chest in unison with the drone of the Cessna's engine. You've seen this 1,000 times before, guided countless students through this same maneuver, but it never gets any easier. It's always personal. Because in those final seconds before touchdown, you're not just an instructor, and he's not just a student. You're both pilots, bound by the shared experience of challenging the sky and daring to touch the heavens. Section 3. Touchdown. The little Cessna glides over the runway, a gentle whisper of tires kissing asphalt breaking the silence. A puff of smoke, a slight bounce, and then the reassuring screech of rubber as the plane settles firmly on the ground. A wave of relief washes over you, so palpable you can almost taste it. He did it. He actually did it. John, your student, is now a pilot, forever bound to the sky by the invisible threads of accomplishment and freedom. You watch as he taxis off the runway, the late afternoon sun glinting off the Cessna's windshield. You can almost see the smile on his face, the sense of triumph radiating from the cockpit, and for a moment, you're right there with him, sharing that feeling of exhilaration, that pure joy of flight. You reach for the microphone, your voice thick with emotion. Good job, John. Welcome to the club. The control tower is abuzz with activity again. the radio crackling with the language of the sky, but you barely notice. You're still replaying those last few minutes in your mind, savoring the moment when John went from student to pilot, when all your instruction, all those hours in the air, crystallized into that perfect landing. You watch as he makes his way towards the tower, his gait a little bouncier than usual, a spring in his step that speaks of newfound confidence and achievement. You can't wait to hear him recount the experience, to relive those moments of solo flight through his eyes. As he approaches, you extend your hand and he shakes it firmly, his grin as wide as the sky he just conquered.
Thanks for everything. I couldn't have done it without you.
You always had it in you, John. All I did was show you the way. And as you walk back towards the hangar, side by side, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, you realize that sometimes the greatest reward in teaching is letting go. Back in the quiet of the office, flight logs and training manuals spread out on the desk, the weight of the day settles in. It's one thing to watch a student solo from the control tower to track their progress on radar and listen to their voice over the radio. It's another thing entirely to sit across from them, face to face, and see the transformation etched on their face. John's smile is infectious, his eyes bright with the afterglow of accomplishment. He can't stop talking, replaying every detail of the flight, from the initial rush of adrenaline during takeoff to the smooth, controlled touchdown. He's like a kid on Christmas morning, eager to share the magic of unwrapping a dream. You listen patiently, nodding at the familiar landmarks of a first solo flight narrative, the sudden awareness of being alone in the cockpit, the heightened senses, the overwhelming sense of freedom and responsibility. You've heard it all before, countless times, but it never gets old. Because each story, each journey is unique. Each pilot finds their own way to the sky, and your job as an instructor is to help them navigate the path, to provide the tools and the knowledge, and then, finally, to step aside and let them fly. The debriefing isn't just about reliving the flight, it's about learning from it. You go over the details, analyzing each decision, each maneuver, highlighting areas for improvement. You point out the good, the smooth turns, the steady altitude, the confident radio calls. But you also address the not-so-good, the slightly fast approach, the minor wobble on landing. John listens intently, soaking it all in. He's eager to learn, to hone his skills, to become the best pilot he can be. And in that moment, you see a reflection of yourself, of the young pilot you once were, hungry for knowledge, driven by a passion for the sky. It's a reminder that the journey never really ends. There's always something new to learn, a new challenge to embrace, a new horizon to chase. You shake John's hand, a silent acknowledgement of a milestone reached, a bond forged in the shared language of the sky. You did good today, son. You earned your wings. Watching John walk out to his truck, you realize that being a flight instructor is more than just a job. It's about passing on a legacy, sharing a passion that burns brighter than any sunrise you've ever seen from the cockpit. It's about trusting in the process, in the hours of drills, the endless lectures, the constant striving for perfection. It's about believing in the potential of every student who steps foot in your plane, wide-eyed and eager to touch the sky. Seeing John fly solo, witnessing that transformation from student to pilot reminds you of the simple, profound power of flight. It's a reminder that even in a world bound by gravity, there's always a way to break free, to reach for something more, to soar above the clouds and chase your dreams. And that, you realize, as you turn and head back toward the hangar, is a pretty good way to spend a lifetime. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange, purple, and gold. Another day, another lesson learned, another pilot sent out into the world, wings spread wide, and as the stars begin to twinkle in the darkening sky, you smile. Tomorrow a new day dawns, and with it, the promise of new students, new challenges, new adventures in the boundless sky.